Welcome in, everyone. I'm Gerard Ramalho. This is The Vegas Verdict, where we take a look at local and national issues of interest. We will offer legal insight whenever possible, and ultimately, we will hand down a verdict. Our legal expert with us today is none other than Tony Abbatangelo. He's the former judge, also known as Tony the Tapper. And we have a special guest with us today as well. Dr. Daliah Wachs is with us today. She's a family medicine doctor, and many of you will know her as a celebrated and syndicated radio host. And she's been on air quite a long time, and we are happy to have her with us today. And guys, our subject that we're looking at today is something that's been in the news a lot lately, has to do with the popular weight loss drugs. Ozempic, probably the biggest name of all of them. And the question that we're asking is, are the disclaimers and the warnings significant enough? I can't tap on the table.
Sorry, you have to interrupt him. You can't tap on the table.
That gets picked up on the microphone.
He knows he's the tapper.
You're absolutely right. So let's begin by taking a look at this video that shows a little bit about what we're talking about on this subject.
Type 2 diabetes?
Discover the Ozempic Trizone. In my Ozempic Trizone, I lowered my A1C, CV risk, and lost some weight.
Some women using drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy are reporting an unexpected side effect.
Tonight, we look at the ups and downs of weight loss from prescription drugs like Ozempic.
It's better to not be overweight.
In studies, the majority of people reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it. Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events, such as stroke, heart attack, or death, in adults also with known heart disease. And you may lose weight. Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
But now a proposed class action lawsuit has been filed in BC, alleging the Canadian manufacturer of the drug didn't warn prospective patients about possible complications.
Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Gallbladder problems may occur. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes.
All right, so we've all seen the commercials, and the promises are pretty significant. A lot of people are using these drugs. Guys, and Tony, I'll start with you. What's your reaction to the fact that there are lots of lawsuits now associated with claims that these side effects weren't properly disclaimed, I guess, or warned about?
Well, I have not seen the actual disclaimer, but the first step, and I think the doctor is going to be able to help us better here, is you're using that drug off-label or black box. Is that the proper terms?
Off-label.
Off-label, and sometimes we would call it black box, meaning this is a diabetic drug, but we're now using it to lose weight. And there's going to be side effects because every single commercial you see, you're constipated, you get diarrhea, makes you sleepy, makes you not go to sleep. Every side effect is possible is covered on the disclosures. So with that, the next step is, because I've got friends taking these types of drugs, and they've lost weight. And one of my good friends, he goes, I can't remember if it's monthly or 6 weeks, but he is told he has to go to a nutritionist. And they monitor him, and I don't know if he does a blood or a urine test, but he's doing it, in my opinion, the right way, because whenever there's a shortcut like this, to me, there's always a problem. So, I mean, it's anytime I'm going to take a pill and it's going to make me lose weight or do something that's not normal, then there's always going to be a side effect.
There's a consequence.
And you got to do it the right way, is the way I look at it.
Let's talk about some of those side effects. Dr. Daliah, fill us in. I saw one report, I don't know if this is true or not, that said pregnancy was even a side effect. I mean, and there's a whole host of stomach issues, obviously.
Well, I'm going to tell my friend Joe not to take it anymore.
Yes, they're called Ozempic babies. Yeah, people who couldn't get pregnant now are able to get pregnant. Some of them have reported, even on birth control, that they ended up getting pregnant. And you can't be on Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro or Zepbound if you're pregnant, because we don't have enough studies and knowing if there's fetal risk. So I've been urging people use condoms while taking the medications, because there's some unexpected side effects to that. Yeah, but other side effects, as you alluded to, pancreatitis, gallstones, renal disease, vision issues. And the medications are fantastic when used properly, when used as an adjunct, as a tool to, all right, I'm going to work on my diabetes, I am going to work on my weight. And if I start to get cravings, this has my back. But that's not how a lot of people are taking it. They're having a Jesus take the wheel approach, going, you know what? I got a wedding to go to. It'll make me not want to eat or drink, so I'll just do the shots. And then the side effects and the rebound weight are much more common.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I remember 20, 30 years ago, like liposuction. I know that's not a pill, it's not a medication, but I'm like, you know, you just did this liposuction, but you're still eating like a pig and you're not exercising. So I think that's your Jesus take the wheel thing.
Exactly.
So if you're not, I mean, you got to change your diet. You got to properly do these things, right?
Yeah. Well, the medicine Chantix for smoking cessation, it works if you quit smoking, if you plan a quit date, and then you take it to help with the cravings. But if you're going to smoke going, well, I'm just going to rely on the medicine to take it over, it doesn't work. And so the medicines were never advertised, and they shouldn't be advertised as, all right, you know, we got you covered just right, you know, and so that's why I think we're having
Let's talk a little
issues.
bit about these class action lawsuits and individual lawsuits as well. There's a lot of them out there now. Do they have a case, Judge? What would you say on most of these cases?
Well, it's really comes down to my opinion. It depends on your lawyer. If you have a good lawyer and you can tie the taking of the medication to the problem, that's, you know, I wouldn't have to have my gallbladder removed, but for me taking Ozempic or something of that nature. Same thing as a personal injury, car crash. If I hadn't rear-ended you, you wouldn't be hurt. So what it comes down to are medical bills, makes your damages, and is there probable cause or but for that initial action, which is in this case Ozempic, are you going to have these problems? And they're obviously going to get a doctor that's going to say, yes, you were perfectly healthy, Gerard, and now because you start taking Ozempic, you got these other problems.
What's
now,
the defense for that? Yeah.
And the other side is they get their experts to say, what, doctor?
Well, you know, weight loss causes gallbladder
Right,
disease.
the exact
That
opposite.
you lose weight, you're going to have gallbladder disease. That's what happens with rapid weight loss.
A to Z. You know, doctors on the plaintiff side say one thing, the doctors on the other side say the exact opposite. And then what happens is you have a jury trial or you settle the case and you go from there. But the big difference here is you have class action. So let's say we're all taking Ozempic, we all get side effects. You have a gallbladder removed. I just got some smaller issues. So my case might be worth $10,000. Your case is worth $400. Doctor, you're somewhere in the middle because everybody's side effects are different. So it's not like each person gets the same amount.
Going back to the warnings, no amount of warning is going to protect everyone.
Zero.
And you literally cannot list, I don't think pregnancy is listed as one of the side effects on any of these commercials.
No.
But we're asking the question, should more be done specifically with these disclaimers? And one thing that annoys me is you got the happy music and people laughing in the video and enjoying life. But then they're talking about, oh, you're going to have, you know, impotence and blindness and you know, death on the horizon if you take this drug. And it doesn't seem to match with the message that they're trying to send. Does something need to change with respect to the advertising and the commercializing?
Well, from a legal standpoint, if you see, Ozempic is the diabetic medication. The weight loss medication is Wegovy. Now, I haven't seen a lot of ads for Wegovy.
Neither have I.
You know, but yeah. And so Wegovy is the one for weight loss. If somebody's using Ozempic, like you had said, that's off-label. You know, now if a diabetic is on it and they lose weight, but if somebody like Oprah or whoever or Tracy Morgan is going on it, now Tracy Morgan had said he gained 40 pounds. He said he gained right through the medication. but if they're taking Ozempic off label, there's protections for the pharmaceutical company because that was not supposed to, they aren't diabetic.
It is not being used for design purpose.
Right.
And that's part of the defense. Yeah. But, you know, you just start racking up all these cases and that's, I think, part of the problem with the legal system, but that's a whole nother topic another day. However, every commercial you see, the reason for those people listening, the reason it says you have all these potential side effects is exactly what we're discussing. Look, here's a heads up. Happy music, I lost 50 pounds, or my diabetes is in control. But if you start listening to what they're saying, like you mentioned, impotency, blindness, all these different major, one of them even, I don't even know which drug it is, says could cause death. And I live with my 84-year-old father-in-law, and we're like, I go, hey, do you want some of that?
I know.
And he's
Probably not.
He busts chops, so he's like, maybe you should try it first. But I mean, it's like, wait a second, did you hear what they said? It's crazy.
And also, do consumers really listen to that? When the laws changed, where pharmaceutical companies had to advertise, people tune it out. People are fast forwarding. So is that enough? And then does the weight and the defense then does it include the doctor? Is the culpability the doctor or whoever's prescribing it? Are they supposed to give the hour-long speech? And so I'm on the side to kind of defend the pharmaceutical companies on some of this, because if you're using the medicine off-label, if you're not educating yourself, if you're not reading the package insert that the pharmacy gives you, you
Yeah, but
could
nobody
be at
reads
risk.
that in that pamphlet. I get medication. I don't read it. But once again, that's going to be part of the defense that the
warnings were provided.
I guess in this case, the pharmaceutical company is going to use. Did your doctor talk to you about it? Did they tell you this? And if I'm a good doctor, I'm going to always say, and I know my doctor does that, hey, here's potential side effects. But, and a whole different topic, but same analogy is the opiate crisis. You started getting those pill mills. They're just writing the scripts. So people are coming in overweight, and they're friends with their doctor. They've been going for years. Maybe they socialize. Hey, doc, I want to lose some weight. And they're like, sure, here you go.
But also the catch-22 too. On the opioids, for example, there was in the early 2000s a lawyer who wrote, not only should it be malpractice if you don't control someone's pain, but it should be criminal. So if a doctor is going to be in trouble for not managing the weight, or for managing the weight, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Just like if you're going to be in trouble for not providing pain control or providing the pain control, they have to, in the legal system, make it a little bit more clear, because what a lot of physicians are doing is, I'm out. I'm not going to write the narcotics. I'm not going to write the weight loss drugs. And then it's a mess.
Well, and that's just it, because you can get somebody to write an article on both sides. And obesity, not only is it a major problem in this country, but the side effects. Once again, diabetes, heart failure, all kinds of stuff. So people need to get their weight in check as well. So, I mean, it is a life-concerning issue. Yeah. So it's better to have the weight in control.
Absolutely.
Now, where I see the next lawsuits, not to interrupt, the next set of lawsuits is, I think, the underestimation of the rebound weight. These people on Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound, they can't be on that medicine long term, or they either from the cost, either from the accessibility, either from the side effects, or the tolerance that's built up.
Just like any like a narcotic, you build up a tolerance.
Your body knows how
then
to do
you're going to need a different drug
workaround
altogether to address that issue.
And I think that's going to be the next big legal, let's say, landscape.
So then I get off of the Ozempic or whatever the weight loss drug is. Rebound weight is the problem. Is that what you're saying?
Not only is rebound weight the problem, but people are gaining weight even on the Ozempic.
Okay.
Some of them after plenty of weeks and that's not explained. And those people are going to be angry. Lawsuits happen when people get angry. A lot of people don't care that they lost their gallbladder, but they get mad that they had to, go through the surgery, go through the pain of it.
Yeah, that's
so
probably,
they
that's a
gain
good
the
point.
weight back, they're going to be grumpy.
Well, and like you said, that's where the people are not taking proper steps. And that's why I mentioned my friend earlier, and he's not a big doctor guy. I'm like, when was the last time you, we're late 50s now, and did a GI or did the famous colon inspection?
Colonoscopy.
Yeah. The old colonoscopy. That was fun. Joys of being over 50.
Yes.
Hey.
But my point is, he's not a big doctor guy, but he's going to that nutritionist, and they're monitoring him, and they're making sure he's doing it right.
Good.
And hopefully when he stops taking the drug, because it sounds like you can't stay on it forever, that he continues to exercise a little more, watch his intake of food, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short pause here. We'll be back. I think we're inching close to a verdict, hopefully, and we will be back with the Vegas verdict coming up right after this break.
If you've been injured in an accident, you don't have to go it alone. At Paul Paddle Law, we understand your injuries aren't just physical. They also bring financial burden and emotional strain. At our firm, it's not just about legal representation. It's about genuine care and commitment. Lock in the attention you deserve from your attorney. We'll get you on the path to recovery. Call Paul Patta Law. Legal security when you need it.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching The Vegas Verdict, and today we're talking about the popular weight loss drugs on the market, Ozempic being probably the most commonly known one, and whether or not the disclaimers and the warnings about side effects are significant enough. I think there's a basic law of capitalism at play here, and that is a supply and demand law. There's a huge demand for these drugs. The promises, and initially they were diabetic related, but I think most people now, you mention Ozempic, they're thinking, oh man, I can lose 10, 15, 20 pounds if I take this drug. That's going to create a huge demand. Am I right with that, Doctor?
Absolutely. The demand is growing, and they can't keep up with the supply. They're in short supply, and that's why it's so expensive. It's about $967 a month for Ozempic, Wegovy $1,300 a month, Mounjaro I think $1,200 a month. These are expensive drugs.
And let me ask you this, because I don't take any of those. I don't ask my friends those personal questions. Is this covered with your insurance?
Not always.
I was going to say,
not always.
I bet it's not.
Some insurance companies cover it. However, I've had patients where this December they were told their insurance is changing. Their employers to getting a cheaper insurance because the insurance companies that do cover it, the premiums rise.
And here's an indicator. If there's an Ozempic commercial on whatever TV station you're watching every 2 or 3 minutes, they've got a lot of money to spend, and they are making a lot of money because these are national advertising campaigns that they have out there, and they literally air on every TV commercial. Think about the dollars that are spent on that. You're not doing that unless you have a successful product and a successful campaign overall.
And that's why they're a target, right?
Yep. And there's a study showing that it only costs about 75 cents a dose to make. So somebody looked into how much it makes. So that means their markup is pretty high. I mean, in their defense, patents, advertising, losing the patent and it going generic,
R&D.
research, R&D. You know, if a company's not going to make money on the drug, they're not going to develop it. But it's really 75 cents a dose, $5 a month, much different than $1,000 a month.
I have a question. Will we see copycat drugs? Obviously, they can't be exactly the same. But will there be other types of Ozempics and drugs that come along because of its popularity?
Yes, these GLP-1 agonists are already, we actually have Rybelsus, which is an oral form. We have the GLP-1 agonist is a pretty huge class. And so there's multiple medications out there. It's just because they're expensive and the pen and the plastic and the supply chain and all that, you know, all the companies are, and they're also copycatting each other's pricing. But hopefully once something goes generic or, you know, we'll see the prices go down.
Well, that's a term I was going to use, the generic. So that's not out there right now.
Not until their patent expires.
Okay.
Question for the judge. With respect to these commercials and the ads, is there enough being mentioned in those ads, do you think, about the warnings? Because you don't see any emotion or music that accompanies the fact that there's a real downside to this. Are they pretty much protected in the way they advertise?
I don't think they're protected 100% at all because that's why you have the lawsuits. And you really can't predict every single side effect. Mm-hmm. I don't pay attention to those Ozempic commercials. I don't have diabetes, knock on wood.
Happy people, all skinny, you know, jumping around, feeling good.
But if I'm Ozempic, my next commercial better say gallbladder problems and all stomach lining or whatever, everything I've just kind of looked at. They need to disclose that.
Gastroparesis, ileus, exactly. But there's a lot of them. So the whole commercial would then be about side effects. And I think there's also laws protecting how you could only do so much to do yourself in. You know, you can't, so it's.
And then if there's the written accompaniment,
yes.
Is that enough? I mean, because it's assumed that people are, and they should be, reading the instructions along with the drugs that they get.
And the pharmacist is supposed to let them know, and their doctor is supposed to let them know. But a good lawyer is going to get around that. And the question is, what it comes down to with these big companies like this is math. The classic example is the 70s Pinto. If we recall every single Pinto that blows up, I'm just going to make up numbers. It's $5 million, but we're only going to have to pay $2 million in lawsuits. So screw them. Let's just let them figure it out.
I love, though, the car analogy
I do
because
too.
I think consumers rely on, well, mommy needs to tell me. You know, if you're getting into a car, you need to understand there's inherent risks. If you're taking a medication, like you said, that is unnaturally going against your normal human activity to help you lose weight, there has to be an understanding that there's going to be inherent risks. And then who is responsible for that? I mean, should we just be because I don't want to see anybody have a side effect of this. But to me, it's common sense that something could go wrong, you know, because it's violating the laws of physics.
And that's holds true for any drug, realistically. If you take too much of anything, you use it the wrong way, there's a consequence to be had.
And that could be for aspirin all the way to, obviously, opiates. I mean, any drug. I agree with you 100%.
Guys, I think we've danced around this subject, and I think we're very close to a verdict. So we'll take our final break, and we'll be back with more of The Verdict, the Vegas Verdict, after this.
Legal troubles require swift action, and there's only one attorney who's quick on his feet.
Legal troubles don't wait, and neither should you. I'm Tony Abbatangelo, a former judge with 30 years' experience. I know the judicial system, and I know what will work for you in court.
When your circumstance requires a skilled negotiator who knows the law, tap into Tony. He's a former judge who can defend your rights. Call 707-7000.
Welcome back, everyone. You've been watching The Vegas Verdict, and we have two guests with us today. Well, we have our legal expert, Tony Abbatangelo, and, of course, our medical expert, Dr. Daliah Wachs, is here with us. And the question that we've been asking today, and I think we're ready to hand down a verdict on this, is are the warnings and disclaimers enough with respect to these weight loss drugs, specifically like Ozempic? And the verdict is...
Yes.
No.
I'm going to say yes. Okay, we have another hung jury, and that's a good thing because that means we're reflective of society. Clearly, there are going to be differing opinions. You say yes. Why is that?
Well, from a pharmaceutical company standpoint, if it's written in the PI and they have everything listed in there, they are technically providing that information to the patient. That being said, I don't think society understands the risks and understands, one, they need to read that, and two, they need to understand that there could be unpredictable things. So is it enough to save a person's life? Not particularly, but is it enough from a pharmaceutical standpoint? I say yes.
All right, Judge, you said no.
I said no because let's say you are, as a doctor just said, complying with all the rules and regulations and laws that you're supposed to. A good plaintiff lawyer is going to push it, and they're going to get, as they have, class action lawsuits. And then what's going to happen is the pharmaceutical company is going to make a mathematical decision, and they're going to say, just making up numbers again, we're going to pay out $100 million because we just made $500 million. That's why I'm saying it's no, because people are still going to push the envelope. Now, some people are going to get denied their claims because they really don't have much side effects, number one. And number two, they're not following the rules, like we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
And they're going to get hammered. And then some people that do all the right things, there's a side effect.
Yeah. I'm on the no side, and I just tend to lean toward the patient responsibility. Eric, you brought up the car
You mean
analogy.
yes, that the disclaimer's enough.
Yes, that the disclaimer's enough. So I'm on your side, actually.
No.
No, I'm sorry. I'm with Dr. Daliah on this one. I think the disclaimer's enough because I think there is a patient responsibility element that has to be taken into consideration. Will there be lawsuits? 100%.
Absolutely.
You can't absolutely definitively count every single side effect that's going to exist. So we finished this episode with a hung jury. I like when it's like that because that just means we are a good reflection of our community and those around us.
Amen.
Dr. Daliah, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You've been watching The Vegas Verdict, and we would love for you to join the discussion. Please head to our website. VegasVerdict.com is the website. We'll have a blog area there. If you have some ideas for discussion for future episodes, please list them there. And we will see you on the next episode of The Vegas Verdict. Hey everyone, here's a look at this week's Vegas Viral. Call it the luck of the Irish, or maybe it was Lady Luck herself, but March definitely brought good fortune to one lucky gambler. It happened in an instant at a Dragon Link video slot inside Palazzo. On a single play, that's one $25 bet. A $1 million and change payout. How long did it take to win? That long. Do you think Irish luck had anything to do with them winning?
Honest answer, loads of old rubbish.
No comment from the Palazzo other than the gambler wished to remain anonymous. One thing's for sure, Irish he may, Irish he might, but he's definitely sitting on a pot of gold tonight. Have a gambling debt, unpaid marker, fraud, bad check, credit card, or other financial theft allegation you're facing? Don't gamble on your lawyer. Call the Vegas Lawyers. And that's your dose of this week's Vegas Viral. Remember to look for us on your favorite podcast platforms and stay connected on our website, vegasverdict.com.